Hi, I'm Jenny from 20 by Jenny, and we're here today to talk to Kate DiCamillo, the author of The Magician's Elephant, her newest book. You probably know Kate from The Tale of Despereaux, which won the Newbery Medal, and because of Winn-Dixie, her first book, which was a Newbery Honor book. And you may also know her fabulous pig, Mercy Watson. Kate, you've said that the bleak Minnesota winter has inspired you to seek out the Florida setting for Winn-Dixie. And I wondered if the long winter also played a role in The Magician's Elephant.
Um, I never would have written Winn-Dixie if I hadn't moved to Minnesota, because Winn-Dixie was very much a book about being homesick for the South. And I've been in Minnesota now for 15 years, and I love it. But this book, I'm pretty sure I'm thinking as I'm saying this is the first time that snow has showed up in a story. Oh no, that's not true. Great Joy has some snow.
That's true.
Yeah, but snow plays a very big role in this book, and so yes, it is very much a product of living in Minnesota and the long winters, which are conducive to writing and storytelling in general, I find. And it's also kind of the story of just one particular, winter of the soul, in a way, that kind of darkness that I moved through.
And you mentioned Great Joy. There is a very important character in that book who's a beggar. And I noticed that beggars actually show up a lot, or fringe characters, shall we call them, society's fringe characters, like Gloria Dump in Winn-Dixie and Thomas in Magician's Elephant. Why do you think you're drawn to these characters?
It's a really good question, and it's the kind of question that you never think to ask yourself. So when somebody asks you, when there's a camera in your face, you find that you don't have an answer. And we had talked about this yesterday, and to me, it's like a concept that I had never considered. You're never really aware of what you're doing in your own work, and so when you said that, I thought, wow. That's true, and I don't know why. And then you also referenced something which I think is really interesting on my website, that when I was in college, the first time somebody said, wow, maybe you should think about being a writer, was I wrote an essay about somebody that I saw outside of a Winn-Dixie, who was, literally a beggar, and I just described that person as part of the essay, and the professor at the time said that what was good about the essay was not the writing, but the fact that I had looked. And I've learned that that's a great portion of what writing is. It's it isn't the beautifully wrought sentence. It's being able to turn and look at everything that you might not normally see. And I think that that's what your point about the beggars and the people who are kind of pushed to the edge of society, they do show up a lot in my book, and it's in my books, and it's a way of just turning and kind of like looking at everything in the world, I hope.
And speaking of seeing, many of your books...
That's a nice segue. And you're not all the way through it, and I already think, wow, what a great segue.
Many of your books have been illustrated, and I was wondering if you think if there have been any surprises where artists have seen things differently from how you've seen it. And you can talk about surprising in good or bad ways, whatever.
I've been nothing but blessed with the people who've illustrated my books. So, I mean, there haven't been any bad surprises, but there have been surprises. I mean, it ranges from Tim Airing, who did the illustrations for Despereaux, which they came to me and I thought, they're brilliant, and it's nothing like what was in my head, but they quickly replaced whatever it was that had been in my head. I can't remember now how I saw it when I was working on it, because Tim's vision took over. So there's that kind of experience, and then there's the experience like I had with Bagram Ibatuin, who did Edward Tulane and Great Joy. But particularly with Edward Tulane, it was like almost shocking because he painted exactly what was in my head as I was telling the story, and that's kind of like it is shocking. It's a very intimate experience. And with The Magician's Elephant, Yoko Tanaka has done something that's kind of like in between that experience of Tim and Bagram. She's done something that's different than what I imagined, and also very much what I imagined, which is kind of contradictory but true. And those paintings, those pieces of art, just kind of take my breath away.
And is it similar with film? Do you find that you have to sort of let the story go and let the director and the screenwriter take your story and do their own thing with it? How does that
Well,
translate
letting
for you?
go is an interesting phrase, and I think that we should pause there for a minute, because that's what the whole thing is. From the minute that you write a story and think, I would like for somebody else to read this, you're letting it go, because you can't ever control, you can't sit over any reader's shoulder and say, this is what I meant here. And as soon as somebody else reads it, it becomes theirs. And so you start to see that the whole thing of putting a story out into the world is letting it go. It's letting it go to get it edited. It's letting it go to get it illustrated. It's letting it go to let it get published and go out into the world where you cannot control people's reactions to it. And it's letting it go to have somebody make a film of it, because it is necessarily their work of art and not my work of art. And so it is continually a process of saying, I will put this out into the world and I hope that it fares well, but I can't control it.
In Magician's Elephant, there is a sculptor of gargoyles named Bartok Winn. And he falls from a rooftop, and the doctor tells the sculptor's wife that he's probably going to die. There's a similar scene at the beginning of Despero, where Despero is not expected to live. Can you just talk a little bit about survival and these characters of yours who survive against all odds?
It's an interesting point. It's kind of like your beggar insight that I never saw before, and it's funny. The doctor with Bartok Winn is almost an exact replay of Despero's father saying he can't live, not with his eyes open like that. But reader, he did live. And it's always that where I become engaged as a writer is when the impossible happens, because Despero should have never survived, and certainly no one would have thought he was capable of doing what he did. And Bartok Winn survives that fall, and it changes him profoundly. It changes who he is as a person, and it changes who he is as an artist. And that, to me, is fabulous, that life is forever kind of baggery in our expectations of it,
Well, and really Bartok is the one who makes that final magic trick possible, right? By helping get the elephant.
What I feel is the true magic happen. Yeah.